Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to be discussing one of the questions that you might be finding yourself asking. The question is that should you either invest or should you pay down debt? Let's say, for example, you're that one person who has quite a large amount of debt that needs to be paid, but at the same time, you also want to invest because probably you've seen all these investments online and you have a fear of missing out. So you have extra cash. So you're probably wondering if you should take this extra cash and pay down your debt quicker, or can you use this extra money to prioritize investing? I will also share my experience on how I answered this question for myself. First of all, let's define both investment and paying down debt. So investment is when you are putting your money aside, basically in a vehicle that can be a bond, a stock, a mutual fund, or an index fund. So you're putting this money into that investment with the hope for you to get better return in the future. However, these returns are always not guaranteed. Debt, on the other hand, is you repaying back the money that you had already taken and used for something. Now you have to, so you are paying it back with an interest. So investing, you can get higher return. With debt, you're paying back the money that you used with interest. So that's the differences between the two. Like I said, both choices can make sense depending on your circumstances. Let's first talk about investing. This extra money, investing it would make more sense if, for example, your investment will yield a better return than what your debt is costing you. For example, if you have a house or a mortgage debt that you're paying at an annual interest of 5%, and you have an investment that will give you a return of 10%. So technically, it would be much wiser to invest the extra cash because you will get a return of a 10% while your debt is only costing you 5%. However, remember, I said earlier on that investment returns are always not guaranteed. Investment can grow by that 10% or it can also decline by 10%. So that's something that you have to look into. Also, the other thing that comes with investment is risk. So depending on your tolerance, on your risk tolerance, then you would know if that's something that that will work for you or not work for you. So if you're someone who always needs to be checking on how the market is doing, and the fact that the fact that the market keeps on fluctuating is keeping you up at night, then you probably don't want to go that route. If your risk tolerance is very low, you probably want to focus more on paying off your debt or saving your money than investing it, because investing comes with the risk. So that's the investing part. Paying debt, on the other hand, comes with a lot of good advantages. When I was doing the research on this topic, most of the literature was focusing more on advising that you should focus on paying your debt first before investing. And like I said, there's a lot of reasons to this, especially if you have a high interest debt, especially if you have a high interest debt. So the previous example that I gave of a house debt, a mortgage debt versus an investment. So if we have to take another example of you having a credit card that is costing you 30% interest per year and an investment that will give you a return of 10% per year, it will be wiser for you to pay that debt first before you start investing, because it might be very difficult for you to get an investment that will give you a return of 30%. So if your debt is a credit card or a short-term debt that comes at a higher interest rate, then you'd probably want to finish paying your debt first before you start investing. And also the other part about paying off your debt first is that to build a good credit score. When you have a lot of debt, or you haven't paid up most of your debt, your credit score tends to be lower. It will increase increase as you start paying your debt faster, and having a good credit score can help you to qualify for a better credit in the future. Bottom line is that in any situation that you find yourself in, paying debt or investing can always work beneficial for you. But something that is very important that you should consider is to always try to have an emergency fund. An emergency fund works best in any circumstances. Let's say, for example, whether you're paying off your debt or you are investing, if you don't have an emergency fund and something arises during that time, you will either have to cash out from your investment early, which will cost you, or get more debt to cover the to cover the emergency. However, if you have an emergency fund, then you will not have to do either of those things, of either cashing out your investment out earlier or taking out more debt. So very important, whatever way that you're going to consider to follow, make sure that you at least have 1 to 3 months of emergency funds saved, so that you don't end up taking out your money earlier or getting into more debt. So in my case, I chose to pay out on my debt first before I started investing. The reason was because my debt had already accumulated so much interest, and they were keeping on accumulating the interest. So it was wiser for me to pay off all the debt before I could start investing. I would say that I did have a fear of losing out on all those investments that were doing so well at that time. However, for me, it just worked out well for me to pay off all my debt first before I could get into investing. So the key takeaways: whatever choices you make, whether it's to invest first, whether it's to prioritize investing or prioritize finishing off your debt, will depend on the circumstances. Paying off your debt first will save you on interest, and investing will make sense if you're earning much a higher return on that investment. And also, very important, you must have an emergency fund so that you don't end up going into more debt or taking out your investment quicker. And also, sometimes you don't have to choose. You can do both of them. You can do both of them at the same time. So if you can afford to do both of them, then go for it. And just don't leave debt that is going to accumulate a lot of interest while you're focusing on investing, because that interest is not worth it at the end of the day. So thank you so much for watching. Please share with me in the comment what approach have you taken and how did that work for you, and yeah, so that we can all learn from each other. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys again in the next video. Bye. And please don't forget to subscribe and share. Bye.